one of the premises of this whole issue of the Iraq War was a representation of the government, the administration, the commander-in-chief, the presentation made before the United Nations. What I believe is ignoring 2002, where we gave the president the right to use force if all other things didn't work. Mr. Fein, can you help me with juxtaposing the representations that were made, the players in the representation, and Article 1, Section 8 about Congress declaring war? But just focus there as to whether or not our duty to, if you will, protect the institution on behalf of the people of the United States, is there some merit there as we might look at those facts?
Yes. James Madison said that a people who mean to govern themselves must arm themselves with the power that knowledge and information gives, and that a popular government without popular information is a farce. And obviously the Congress of the United States is making its deliberative choice to authorize war not based upon information in the hands of the executive branch. And as I explained earlier, James Iredell, who was a founding father, subsequent member of the U.S. Supreme Court, made it very clear that it is his judge that it was be an impeachable high crime and misdemeanor to withhold information from Congress that, if they had known about, would have caused them to decide differently on a matter of war and peace. This was unambiguous. He wasn't a Democrat. He wasn't a Republican. He was just a founding father interpreting a document that he had helped fashion. Now, based upon the administration's own former occupants of office, including George Tenet and others who had served in the CIA that have not been denied by this administration, there was withheld from this Congress strong information that Congress had a right to evaluate on its own, not just based upon President Bush, that undercut the idea that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq that the President held out as a justification for Congress to authorize war, and that al-Qaeda was in cahoots with Saddam Hussein. And this is information that comes out from Bush administration officials. Now, it may be true that's been quoted by Congressman King that Madeleine Albright or Albert Gore made statements that Iraq has these kinds of weapons or collusion. But what was their information based on? I have no doubt that President Bush didn't say, come and survey all of our documents. They got the same briefing, I'm sure, that everybody else got. That was the same one-sided, distorted information. And say this characterization isn't out of, this is out of Bush administration officials themselves. And it seems quite clear that the declaring war function is corrupted if the President has complete control over the information flow and gives you part of the story but not all of it. Because the power to declare war means you get to make your own independent evaluation of what to believe or not, just not what the President wants you to hear.
And any of that could bear on, just if we were in an inquiry, could bear on treason to the extent of how you undermine the infrastructure of government, and could also lay the precedent for, say, for example, an attack on Iran. So we're forward-thinking when we do this kind of inquiry, are we not? Of course.
Suppose that there's conflicting information about whether Iran, in fact, has a nuclear weapon, and there's just one snippet and says, oh, all the information that I'm giving you suggests there's a nuclear weapon and they're about ready to launch an attack against Jerusalem. There's volumes of information otherwise, but that's all suppressed. So you only hear part of this story. That clearly, in my judgment, is an impeachable offense under the standard of the Founding Fathers, not under the standard of anybody who came afterwards with partisan grind. James Iredell didn't have any grudge against a Republican or Democrat. He was seeking to defend the Constitution.
Maybe Mr. Bugliosi, who's commented on this, would add to the framework of which,
yes,
which I've raised.
I want to respond
Mr.
to this
Fein.
whole issue of weapons of mass destruction that Congressman Franks and Gomert talked about. In this book of mine here, The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder, believe it or not, I do not say, you want me to hold it higher? Okay, yeah. You're being funny now, aren't you? You are being funny. Okay.
Mr. Bugliosi, you may continue.
Yes. Believe it or not, I do not say in this book, where I'm asking that George Bush be prosecuted for murder, that he lied about weapons of mass destruction. Actually, he did lie about weapons of mass destruction, but that's not why I'm saying he should be prosecuted for murder. The evidence that he lied about weapons of mass destruction, by the way, which is not the basis for this book, are right in front of me. I have it right here. Here's the evidence. This document here is the National Intelligence Estimate. I didn't name it before. I talked about a classified report. This is it right here, October 1st, 2002, classified NIE report. It's called Iraq's Continuing Programs of Weapons of Mass Destruction. In this document right here, the CIA and 15 other U.S. intelligence agencies use words like this: we assess that, or we judge that Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. This document here is the white paper that was given to you folks here in Congress and the American people, and the words "we assess that, we judge that" were removed, meaning that you folks here heard a fact, and in fact it was only an opinion. Number two, on nuclear weapons, this document right here, the classified report, has several important dissents. This document right here, the white paper that you folks were given and the American people, all of those dissents were deleted. That's where the
And
lie
were those
about
dissents
weapons of mass
presented at the
destruction.
UN?
Pardon?
Were those dissents presented at the UN?
I'm sorry?
Were those dissents, were they presented at the UN, when the presentation was made at the UN,
No.
were those dissents presented there? No.
No, but the dissents that are in the classified document right here do not appear in this white paper that you folks were given. There is the lies about mass destruction. But here's the point I want to make. And I really feel, and it sounds presumptuous of me, I guess Mr. Franks already knows enough that he doesn't want to hear. But here's the evidence that I want to present to this committee, that weapons of mass destruction, that's not the issue here. The issue is not whether Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. If that were the issue, Pakistan, China, Russia, Britain, France, North Korea.
The gentleman's time has long ago expired.
Well, wait a while. I'm talking about something I think pretty important, okay?
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman is talking about classified information in this meeting.
No, wait a while.
And the gentleman's time has expired, and I insist that you impose rules on this.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
Let's have order. The gentlelady asked a question, and after it is responded to, her time will have been expired.
I thank the gentleman for his indulgence.
This document right here has been declassified. This one here was an unclassified version, so you're wrong. But here's the point I want to make. Britain, France, Russia, China, Pakistan, they have weapons of mass destruction. Are we going to war with them? No. Why? I'll tell you why. Because the only issue, not two issues or three, the only issue is whether a nation that has weapons of mass destruction is an imminent threat to the security of this country. That's the only issue. And 16 U.S. intelligence agencies in this previously classified document, including the CIA, all said unanimously that Hussein was not an imminent threat to the security of this country, and they knew all about these weapons of mass destruction. They thought they did. Actually, Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction. Let's overlook that fact. They thought. These 16 U.S. agencies thought that Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, and they still said he was not an imminent threat to the security of this country. It's a terrible non sequitur to say that just because you have weapons of mass destruction, you're an imminent threat to the security of this country. The proposition that Hussein was an imminent threat to the security of this country is outrageous on its face. Why? I'll tell you why. Hussein wanted to live.
Getting really close to an aneurysm here.
Hussein wanted to live, and when you want to live, you do not attack the United States of America or help anyone else do so. And all 16 U.S. intelligence agencies agree.
The man is repeating himself, and long ago the gentlelady's time has expired.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
I thank the chairman.
I have more to say, but I won't.